welcome back to part 4 of our 1/1000 scale TOS Enterprise build. This part we'll be talking about seam filling or gap filling, covering up your seams so you don't have any light bleed through your model where it fits together at. I'll show you some of the ins and outs and tips of doing that. Also got a little bit of a surprise for this build. I'll show you all later. So with that, we'll get right to it. Alright, we'll show you what we got so far for our Enterprise build. And here it is. Now as you see, we've got some of the stuff taped off, we got a lot of it put together. I've already got some of the seams done here, as you can see. I'm going to show you all how we're going to seam this part. And don't worry, we'll get to these later. I'll show you what that's all about. It's part of the surprise. But we're going to fill this seam in. Now, something I use is the Bondo glazing and spot putty. You get this at Walmart. It's real cheap. It's only a couple bucks. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some of this, on paper like so. Now I've got a little putty tool. It's like a little putty knife. This thing works amazing. Be honest, I don't know where I got it. I got it years ago. It was at a hobby shop. So, you know, if you look at some of your hobby shop stores and supplies, you might find one like this. But anything like that, I've used a toothpick sometimes to do this stuff. So you don't need, you know, per se this exact tool, but it does really help. We're going to take a little bit of it. And see this, the seam here, you get these, it's going to shine light through and stuff. We don't want that. We want that nice clean look. What we're going to do, just dab this in here, work it into the seam. Notice this was a pretty big gap to fill right here. So. Alright, now that I've got that done, we're going to use, now there's two different types here that I use. All this is fingernail polish remover. It's the cheap stuff you buy at Walmart. This one, obviously, it's 100% acetone and it's going to take off paint. This one is non-acetone, and since I've already painted it, it'll be a little bit easier on the paint on the model. I'm going to take this, I'm going to fill up a cap's worth of it. Set this over off to the side. And then all I'm using is some standard Q-tips. And they don't have to be any high-end, just the cheap ones. I go through quite a bit of these when I'm doing this stuff. And you kind of take off the excess putty here. Work it into the seam. And you notice you won't have to do a whole lot of sanding when doing this because you're making it all smooth. It's smoothing it out. Probably one of these little secrets nobody wants you to know about, but sure does make things a lot easier. I said we're just going to smooth all this out. Clean that groove there up. you see, now we got a really nice smooth seam. No, we won't have to do much sanding here. And now I'm going to go back through it. I'm going to lightly sand it with some real fine sandpaper and sand all this up. But that's the trick to it. And you know, go through and you do the same thing like I've done. Move this before I make a mess. Like I've done here though. You know, I've filled in all these seams anywhere there's seam gaps around the saucer section here. Back here on this, you know, there's these big seams where the warp pylons sit into. You know, I've filled that all up. All I gotta do is do some light sanding on it so that'll look nice. So it'll be all kind of seamless. It'll all look like one piece. And by doing that with this putty, this stuff is really nice. It goes on real smooth. It's easy to work with. It's a lot easier to sand with than, say, your typical standard putty, which I don't know if I have any. Yes, I do. Now you can get this stuff here. Problem with this stuff is it hardens rock hard, and it's really, really hard to sand. But you can use that. Just letting you know, it is hard to sand. You can do the same thing with the nail polish remover. You know, work it in, and it'll make it a little bit easier to sand that off. Now, you know, what's nice, you might get in these areas where it's going to be hard to sand, get sandpaper. If you got some microfiles like these here, you know, these things are super handy as well. They'll get into little tight spots where maybe you need to, you know, sand off an area or whatnot. Also, look at that, these work real good. And also, when you're trying to clean up some areas and sand for final paint, these are little sanding needles. You can get these at like any hobby store. I've seen them at Hobby Lobby, Hobby Town, things like that. And these things work really good. I like them. But all it is just like a little sanding block, acrylic sanding block. Works real nice. Here, I glued this all together with CA glue. This is the stuff I use. You see, I got it at a Hobby Town. Just kind of their stuff. Works good. I like it. But any kind of CA glue, which is a type of, you know, kind of like a type of super glue, would work real nice. It dries real quick, and it's great. That way you don't have to hold your parts forever. Now you see this stuff is dried really fast. I'm going to let it dry a little bit longer before I go and start sanding on it and get it ready for final paint. But we're getting close. We're almost ready to start thinking about a base and stuff and doing some of the fine detail work. You know, the little details are all over this model. Like, you know, this little part right in here. I know you can't probably see it real well. It's a little bit darker shade of gray than the rest of it. We just got a little detail work here and there that we got to do after we get the final coat of paint. But we're getting close. It's starting to look like the old Enterprise there. All right. Now I said I got a little bit of surprise for you. You know, I know this is a snap together model, and a lot of people don't give them a lot of credit or whatnot, but you can do so much with these. And something I have done is I have added, we're going to add another snap together model to this. We're going to add the old Klingon D7 cruiser. And that's what these are. These are acrylic rods here. And I've put blue LEDs in them with shrink wrap tubing that you heat up and it'll seal around the tubing. Now you gotta be careful when you do this. I found out that if you put too much heat on these, because they're real thin acrylic rods, they'll melt and bend. But what's nice about these is the whole thing will light up. You know, unlike a piece of fiber optic where mostly you're getting your light on the end, this whole thing will light up. And it'll give me the look of phasers. So now And here it is, the Klingon D7 cruiser. And as you see, I've got some battle damage here. And the Enterprise ship will be firing into this damaged area right here. That's what those acrylic rods will look like. That'll show you what them look like lit up. Haven't done anything too wild with this. I didn't do a video build on this one, but I did take some pictures. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of them for the inside. I don't know what happened. I used a new camera. Ended up getting rid of that one, but see, I got some damage there. I used flickering LEDs for the damaged area, so it looked like, you know, kind of like the fire look or sparking. I've got some little fiber optics poking out here and there on that, and made like a little damaged plate that's got like the inner parts of the ship here and whatnot. Didn't do anything crazy. As you see, there's only 2 wires coming out of this model, but you know, I've got where the torpedo tube here lights up, the windows light up, this part here lights up. I also cut some holes back here. This, which engine is it? One of these 2 engines is damaged out, and it kind of flickers as well. The other one stays on. So I just played around with it, did some kind of neat stuff to it. But I'll show you what that all looks like. You get to see the damaged areas of this ship, so I'll let you guys check that out. before we close up shop, some of you had emailed me about the chipboard I made for this to run the pulsar collectors and the navigation lights. That's not something I want to get into with. It was a board I made for this build, and unfortunately the controllers for it are LM3909s, I think, and they're hard to find. They don't even make them anymore because you can do most of your stuff with a 555 timer chip. So if you guys want that same effect, Tenna Controls actually makes a better board than I've got. You know, the Basart collectors one runs counterclockwise, one runs clockwise, and it also controls your navigation lights. They'll flash. I'll put their website down here. You can check them out. I think, you know, I've used a lot of their stuff. I think you'll like them too. They've got like a lot of neat electronics for all kinds of different models, but they do have it for this scale model. So go check them out. Now, when we get back to the next build, we're going to be doing some of the decals. I got a few tricks with that, so you don't get so much silvering and on the decal where it kind of looks like it's been painted on. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the base we'll use for both models to connect them together. So, like always, until next time, if you got any questions or whatnot, comments, you can catch me on my email account at starshipwonders@gmail.com, or you can catch me on Facebook at Starship Wonders. So until next time, keep modeling and have fun. Transporter room, one to beam up.